Senate will come to order. The senators will please take their seats. Those persons not entitled to the privileges of the floor will retire to the gallery. The senators and all in attendance, please stand. We will be led in prayer by the Reverend Michelle C. Thomas of the Holy and Whole Life Changing Ministries International of Lansdowne. Following the prayer, everyone will please remain standing and be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America by Senate Page Delaney Herzog of Williamsburg.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is an extreme honor to be with you this morning. Let us pray. Most gracious and eternal God, we give you glory and honor this day. We invoke your presence in this sacred space of the Senate chamber. As the nation celebrates Black History Month, we remember the countless millions of those who lost their lives during the Middle Passage of the transatlantic slave trade. We pause to remember in Virginia our faithful ancestors whose enslaved hands built this very complex and whose descendants now have an opportunity to lead from the very grounds their foreparents were forced to labor. In this season, let us recommit ourselves to the work of justice and equity and vow to stay in the fight until oppression, discrimination, and injustice is no more. Lord, cover our senators this morning. Give them the moral courage to do your will, come what may. Help them work with renewed vigor for a hateless world and a better distribution of wealth and that brotherhood and sisterhood that will transcend race, color, creed, and even political party. Now, God, we ask that you keep us in perfect peace in our darkest hours and in times of great division as we continue to build this perfect union. Help us walk together, pray together, sing together, and live together until the day when all God's children, black, white, red, brown, and yellow, can sing, facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. In the words of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, lose not courage, lose not faith. Go forward, go forward, go forward. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job.
The clerk will call the roll. All those present, please vote aye. The clerk will close the roll.
You have a quorum, Madam President. Senate Journal for Thursday, February 3rd, 2022.
The senator from Southern Fairfax County, Senator Barker, moves that the reading of the journal be waived. All in favor of waiving the reading of the journal will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 33, noes 4.
Ayes 33, noes 4. The reading of the journal is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the House of Delegates.
Madam President, I move that we waive the reading of the communications from the House of Delegates.
The question is, shall the reading of the communication be waived? All in favor of waiving the reading of the communication from the House of Delegates will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 3.
Ayes 35, noes 3. The reading of the journal is waived. Of the communication is waived. The clerk will report any communications from the governor.
I do not have any, Madam President.
Now comes our favorite time in the morning hour when we have the opportunity to welcome our guests to their Senate. We're glad that you're here to observe your government in action. And so with that, I call on Senator Bell, the gentleman from Loudoun.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. It is my honor, and I ask her to please stand to introduce Pastor Michelle Thomas, who gave us the invocation today. Pastor Michelle is a force of good, and I say that in the strongest way in our community and, frankly, throughout the Commonwealth. She is not only a minister who has just a wide path of goodness in her daily routine. She also is the NAACP president in Loudoun County, and she serves on the Soil and Water Board. And I know for myself and the entire Loudoun delegation, we can say we not only appreciate all the good service she does, we also count her as a dear friend. And it is a great honor to have her here, and I'm going to ask her daughter to stand up. Let me embarrass her a little bit. This is Anna Thomas, and she is serving this year as a house page, and we're very glad that she joined us down here this morning. And with that, Madam President, I ask that you please give the warm welcome of the Senate. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for the prayer. And we're glad your daughter is here so she sees the government up close and personal. And she knows one day she can be right where I'm standing, as all the pages know. Thank you. And senators, please join me in giving them the warm welcome of the Senate. The senior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Good morning, Madam President. I rise for an introduction.
Good morning. You have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the Senate. Today we have with us Michelle McGrath, of the Executive Director of the American Cider Association, who is here as part of Cider Fest 2020. I'm sorry, CiderCon 2020, which made its triumphant return to in-person festivities here in Richmond over the past few days, the last day tomorrow, with tours, tastings, educational workshops, demos, and more. And I don't know if you know this, Madam President, but Richmond is at the heart of a celebrated cider region, and the attendees of CiderCon have been able to partake in some of the best cider in the country. And I ask that you give Ms. McGrath a warm Senate welcome.
Good morning, Ms. McGrath. The only question we want to know is, did you bring enough for everybody?
There's plenty at the convention center.
Senators, as you know, the cider industry is quite healthy for our Commonwealth, and so we want to welcome you, and please join me in giving her the warm welcome of the Senate. The gentleman from Hanover, Senator McDougall.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I rise for the purposes of introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, many of us are fortunate enough to have people who work in our office for no compensation, and I was so this year. Colby Andrews is a student at Randolph-Macon in Ashland, and he has spent the last month in our office and has done a tremendous job. I am very sad to see that he is actually leaving today to go back to pursue his academic career. But, Madam President, if you could offer the thanks from me and the warm welcome to the Senate to my intern, Colby Andrews.
Good morning, Mr. Andrews. In the words of Martin Luther King Jr., study hard, burn that midnight oil. We need you to lead us one day. Gentlemen and ladies, please join me in giving him the warm welcome of the Senate. The gentlelady from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for the purpose of an introduction.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you. Seated in the gallery today, wonderful parents of our Senate Page Prince Smith. It is Ms. Rodriguez Harmon and Andreas Harmon. And Madam President, they are very well connected in the community and doing great things in the city. So I would appreciate it very much if you would extend to them the very warm welcome of the Senate.
Good morning, parents. Thank you for lending us your lovely daughter and her skills and talents. And we know that one day she will be a formidable force. So, Senators, we thank them for coming, and we want to wish them the warm welcome of the Senate. The Senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. I would ask that the journal reflect my seatmate, the senator from Fauquier, is away from the Capitol today on pressing personal business.
Without objection, the journal will so state. Is there any other business to come in the morning hour? Hearing none, the clerk will call the calendar. For what purpose does the senator from Arlington rise?
Good morning, Madam President. I rise to make a statement about my seatmate, the junior senator from Richmond. He is out on pressing personal business.
The journal will so reflect that, Senator. And now the clerk will call a calendar.
Senate calendar for Friday, February 4th, 2022. Uncontested calendar, House bill on third reading. House Bill 828, a bill relating to dairy producer margin coverage premium assistance program, emergency. reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Fairfax City, Senator Peterson.
Thank you, Madam President. Move the bill pass.
Speaking to the bill.
I'll speak to the bill. Ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, this is a bill that has an emergency clause on it. It has to do with dairy produce margin coverage. It was testified into committee on behalf of the Cattlemen's Association, and I believe it's necessary in order for us to bring down federal funds, but we need to pass it immediately. So I hope we can all join in passing this very good bill. Thanks.
The question is, shall House Bill 828 pass? Emergency. All those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, no 0.
Ayes 38, no 0. The bill passes.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on third reading.
Chair now recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that the Senate bills on third reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 2 through 8, that's Senate Bill 12 through Senate Bill 755, be placed on their final passage in a block. Any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested calendar, third reading, pages 2 through 8, Senate bills 12 through 755, be placed upon their final passage in the block with the understanding that any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The bills are before us in the block. The clerk will now read the number of the bills.
Senate Bill 12, Senate Bill 70, Senate Bill 271, Senate Bill 355, Senate Bill 488, Senate Bill 496, Senate Bill 502, Senate Bill 505, Senate Bill 686, Senate Bill 701, Senate Bill 748, Senate Bill 754, Senate Bill 755.
Madam President.
The junior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase.
Thank you, Madam President. Could Senate Bill 754 on page 7 please come out of the block?
Without objection, Senate Bill 754 on page 7 is out of the block.
Madam President.
Senator from Rockingham County.
Could you also take 755 out of the block on page 7?
Without objection, Senate Bill 755 on page 7 is out of the block. The question is, shall the bills in the block pass? That is, all bills except for Senate Bill 754, Senate Bill 755, both on page 7. All in favor of the passage of the bills will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bills in the block pass.
Returning to page 7, Senate Bill 754.
The gentleman from Rockingham County, Senator Obenchain.
Madam President, I move that the bill pass. And speaking to the bill,
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, members of the Senate, Senate Bill 754 is, I hate to tell you, it's one of these lawyer bills. And you may or may not have noticed, but when you go and buy your auto insurance every year, there's something called uninsured motorist coverage that you have to buy with your policy. Right now, the minimum limits is $30,000, so you have to buy a $30,000 uninsured motorist policy. What this bill does is it says that you get the benefit of that $30,000 if you're hit by somebody with no insurance, okay? Or if you're hit by somebody with $30,000 of insurance and you're put in a wheelchair for the rest of your life, have $100,000 or $1 million of medical expenses. Under the current law, you only get the other driver's $30,000 of liability coverage. But you may say, well, why don't I get that $30,000 of underinsured motorist coverage that I bought and paid for? And the answer to that question is confusing to every single person who's ever dealt with this. It's that the other driver, or that your insurance company gets a set-off for the amount paid by the other driver's coverage. So your underinsured motorist coverage that you paid for pays you nothing. This simply says you get the benefit of that $30,000 policy that you paid for. Now, some of the insurance companies have said, and the agents say this is a great idea. They support this. But some of the insurance companies say, whoa, this is going to raise the cost. You know, it may raise the cost by about $25. But if anybody says, gosh, agent, I can't afford that coverage, this bill says you can elect a set-off. You can elect the status quo and save that $30. So this demystifies it. This simply says if you buy uninsured motorist coverage, you get the benefit of it. And this sailed out of committee. I would hope that it makes as much sense to the members as, well, it probably doesn't make much sense to anybody. It's a confusing area. But I would hope that this bill would pass.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 754 pass? All those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote?
We're still in 754, right? 754?
Have all the senators voted? Does any senator wish to change their vote? Does any senator wish to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 1, Rule 36 1.
Ayes 37, noes 1, Rule 36 1. The bill passes.
On page 7, Senate Bill 755.
Chair calls on Madam President Pro Tempore, the senator from Portsmouth.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the bill pass. And speaking to that measure.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, Senate Bill 755 is about compensation amounts for wrongfully convicted individuals. Currently, the amount for persons who are wrongfully convicted are at the rate of 90% of the inflation-adjusted per capita income. This year, this comes to about $55,762, and it does not provide additional compensation for years spent on death row, parole, or probation. Madam President, what the proposed new law does, it compensates the amount, it increases the compensation amount for wrongfully convicted individuals that are convicted based on Virginia's most recent annual median household income. increase yearly compensations from $55,762 to $74,222. And it provides an additional $25,000 per year compensation for time spent on death row, parole, or on the or probation. I'm sorry. Reason for the change that is needed is because wrongfully convicted individuals lose the opportunity to get their education, to build a career, and learn technological skills, and no amount of money can make them or their families whole, but a higher compensation amount can make or become closer to making up for lost financial opportunities. Restraints on individuals' personal liberties don't always end when the wrongfully convicted walk out of the prison, and the proposed $25,000 per year of various forms of post-incarceration supervision recognizes that reality. Currently, unless the wrongfully convicted person is over 60 or terminally ill, payment is made in a 20% lump sum followed by an annuity amount. And of course, the proposed new law also, the payment is made, timing of the payment is made in a lump sum regardless of the person's age or health. And so, Madam President, that's pretty much the essence of what the bill does.
Chair recognizes the senator from James City, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Madam President. Would the gentlelady from Portsmouth yield for 4 questions?
Yes, ma'am. I shall know.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. My first question is, was this Senate Bill 755 vetted by the Finance Compensation Subcommittee?
Senator Lucas.
Madam President, my answer to the senator from James City County is I don't believe so.
Okay.
Senator Norman.
Madam President, my second question is that previously first of all, I would say we need to do something significant about improving and increasing the compensation. But from a business standpoint, previously annuities were purchased as opposed to a cash payout of the general fund. Does this bill eliminate the provisions providing for an annuity and only allow cash payouts?
Senator Lucas.
I'm looking through. It says, unless the wrongfully convicted person is over 60 or terminally ill, payment is made in a 20% lump sum, followed by an annuity.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President.
Further question?
My third question is...
Will the gentlelady yield?
Yes, ma'am. I shall yield.
Thank you, Madam President. My third question, if I understood your explanation of the bill that there is a $25,000 per year for certain circumstances, including a period of probation. Did I understand that provision accurately?
Yes,
Senator
sir,
Lucas.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, you did. The $25,000 per year is based on, the restraints on the innocent person's liberty don't always end when the wrongfully convicted person walk out of prison, and the proposed $25,000 per year on various forms of post-incarceration supervisor recognizes that fact. And it's for those persons who were specifically refers to people who were on death row.
Madam President, a follow-up, please.
Will the senator yield?
I yield.
I would ask the gentlelady, is she aware that sometimes when someone is even wrongfully convicted, that they're in a status of probation, and sometimes the courts will even impose as long as a 20-year of probation that is effective upon their release? Were you aware that probationary status can run that long?
Senator Lucas.
Not 20 years, Madam President. No, that is not my understanding.
I thank the gentlelady. And Madam President, if she will yield for my last question, please.
Will the senator yield?
Yes, I yield.
Senator Norman.
Madam President, the previous law had a provision in it that provided if someone was subsequently convicted of another offense while they were receiving the annuity payout, that they would forfeit the balance of any payments for compensation during the period of unlawful incarceration. And I would say, Madam President, that if we do a cash payout, there will not be any opportunity to terminate that payment. Was that issue considered where someone is subsequently convicted of an offense and would thereby forfeit the state payment?
Senator Lucas.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, I would respond to the senator from James City County. Yes, that was considered. However, looking through my notes, that was not a strong consideration, Madam President.
Madam
Senator
President,
Norman.
I appreciate the lady's responses.
Madam President, I'm sorry. With those explanations, I move that the bill pass.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 755 pass? All those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 22, no 17.
Ayes 22, no 17. The bill passes.
Regular calendar. Senate bills on third reading. Senate Bill 214, a bill relating to the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, meetings conducted by electronic communication means, situations other than those than declared states of emergency.
The chair recognizes the gentleman from Prince William, Senator McPike.
Thank you, Madam President. Move that the bill go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 214 goes by for another day.
Senate Bill 371, a bill relating to State Board of Elections membership, appointment of Commissioner of Elections.
Madam President.
The senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Could that bill go by for the day so the sponsor can be present for the final passage?
Without objection, Senate Bill 371 also goes by for the day.
Senate Bill 104, a bill relating to elimination of mandatory minimum sentences, modification of sentence to mandatory minimum term of confinement for felony offenses.
Madam President.
The senator from Rockingham County.
Could
for
that
what
go
purpose?
by for the day?
Senator Morrissey, the question is, would you have the bill go by for the day?
Yes, Madam President. Bill may go by for the day.
Without objection, Senate Bill 104 goes by for the day.
Senate Bill 105, a bill to give the provisions of Chapters 45 and 51 of the Acts of Assembly of 2020, Special Session 1, retroactive and prospective effect.
The junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey.
Good morning, Madam President. I rise for a request and a motion.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, I request that I be recorded on the rolls of the journal as present.
It was so stated.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I ask that Senate Bill 105 pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, this bill is a technical bill, I believe, and it is for the following reason. It seeks to allow any search of an automobile based on the odor of marijuana and any motion to suppress to be considered to be retroactive in application because of its procedural aspect. You may recall, Madam President, or you may not because you weren't here last year, but this bill came up in the General Assembly in the Senate last year, and after a great deal of debate, it was passed. What occurred, though, was after it was passed, different circuit courts in the Commonwealth were unsure whether to give it retroactive application or simply prospective. The majority of the courts in the Commonwealth considered it to be a procedural matter and gave it retroactive application. This simply clarifies that. I'd ask that the bill pass.
The senator from Rockingham County, Senator Obenshain.
Madam President, speaking briefly to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
Madam President, all I will say with respect to this is that I'm not sure whether it is a minority view among the courts in Virginia that has decided to apply this retroactively or not, but I would respectfully submit that applying it retroactively is a bad idea. There was testimony in committee that this could have significant implications upon convictions, the validity of convictions for serious offenses. And all I will say to conclude is, should this pass, I just wish my good friend from the city of Richmond good luck down the hall.
The senator from James City, Senator Norman.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak on Senate Bill 105, please.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, I would say that I have more than a casual familiarity with the practical application that this bill would have. And I would concur that there is a split of perspective across Virginia as to whether or not this is lawyers' talk, as procedural, as substantive. And various courts across Virginia have come to different conclusions. I currently have a matter pending in a very close jurisdiction where this very issue has come up, and the disposition of the case has been deferred a little bit because this is part of the critical issue as to the retroactive application of it. I've heard some senators who sit on the courts committee talk about making significant criminal procedure policy changes that allegedly and improperly suggest judicial efficiency. If this bill is passed, it is not going to promote judicial efficiency because there is going to be a proliferation of cases that are going to be filed for individuals who have been convicted based upon that it was not retroactive, and therefore they're going to apply for reconsideration of their case based upon the retroactive language on it. And we are going to have an inundation of significant number of cases raising that issue. Bottom line, I understand the bill. It is somewhere between bad and horrendous policy, madams.
The senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. Ladies and gentlemen, this bill is not as complicated as I think it's being made out to be. What it does is confirms what the law is. There might be 4 or 5 judges out of 30 who have taken a public, made it publicly ruled about this, who got it wrong. But all this bill does is confirms that what the intent was, the law we passed, and it confirms the way it should have been interpreted from the beginning. I would also just note that the class of cases it affects are only those that went to trial after March 1st of 2021. So we're talking about 10 months of trials, no more than that, because our law did not go into effect until March 1 of 2021. So this isn't that complicated. It's declarative of existing law, and it's not going to cause a tsunami of problems.
The senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Madam President, I associate my remarks to the remarks you just heard from the senator from Eastern Fairfax. 2 points. If you look at the bottom, there's an enactment clause that makes it clear that this would not create a cause of action for damages against the Commonwealth, nor any political subdivision, nor shall it form the basis for relief for any habeas corpus proceeding or any appellate proceedings. So, yes, it makes it retroactive, but you would not, the fact that you couldn't actually, after the fact, get habeas corpus relief. That's number one. Number two, the Fourth Circuit has ruled these kinds of things, police stops, when you're driving a vehicle. The Fourth Circuit and the Supreme Court have held this is a Fourth Amendment issue. Fourth Amendment, because it's an illegal search and seizure. And they've made it clear that when police stop somebody, they can only stop them for whatever the mission is, namely the ticket they're giving somebody, but they can't go beyond that, such as a dog to go around the car and see if there's any drugs involved. That's very clear. It's a Fourth Amendment issue. And as I recall, the Fourth Amendment was passed in 1791. And furthermore, it's applied to the states clearly in Mapp versus Ohio in 1958. So it's not an issue with regard to being retroactive. It's already something that was in effect a long time ago. So this is not a matter of that it should be disputed. Now, there have been circuit courts that are split on the issue in Virginia. Roanoke County Circuit Court said it's retroactive. Another circuit court said it wasn't. But this makes it very clear so the circuit courts in Virginia and the courts in Virginia, the appellate courts, are in accord that this is something that should be given retroactive effect to the time we pass the law. With this said, Mr. President, I think we should hope the body will go ahead and vote for this good bill because it's remedial in nature.
Chair recognizes the senator from Spotsylvania, Senator Reeves.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking of the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, has been articulated on this floor several times. I think I am the last law enforcement officer here that has probably made a traffic stop in a very long time. And it's not so much what's in the italicized that I'm concerned about, it's what's been struck out. And we have state inspections in this state to make sure that we don't have faulty equipment or loud exhaust or dark enough tint. All these things that are supposed to keep us safe on the highway, we get state inspections for. But how do you enforce them when you strike it all out? Ladies and gentlemen, what we've done in the last year and a half is told cops, hey, don't stop cars. Don't stop cars. Don't stop cars that are unsafe. We don't really care. And I guarantee you there's nobody in this chamber that hasn't driven down the road and smelled weed coming through their heat exhaust or through their heat exchange. So we've got people out driving high. We're going to pass it and make it easier to do that. Now, I'm sure some of my defense lawyers in here are thrilled because they're going to be able to defend a lot of these that are going to happen. But here's what the effects of this are. Let me just be really clear here. We have taken in the last year and a half not made life safer for Virginians on the road. That was evident in how many troopers we had shortages of, all the other things. And when you look at overall traffic tickets that are going through the court in Fairfax County, it's tremendous how many tickets are not getting written now. And it's not because of a quota bill. We're solving that issue that we talked about earlier in one of the committees. People are looking at what we're doing as a chamber, as a body, and are we making Virginia's lives safer? Madam President, I would tell you this just further enhances that cause that we're not. We're not empowering our law enforcement to enforce the laws that we put on the books. What incentive do they have to go out and make sure we're safe when we pass bills like this? Madam President, I'm going to throw up a red, and I would encourage everybody else to do the same.
The question is, shall Senate bill...
Madam President.
The junior senator from Richmond City.
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly before we vote on this bill, and I will try to respond succinctly to some of the concerns. First,
the senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. To the senator from James City County, he was concerned about judicial efficiency and whether or not there's going to be a proliferation of people seeking redress. I thought that my colleague addressed that, the gentleman from Roanoke, when he referred to the enactment clause, and I think there will not be, you're talking about a maximum period of 9.5 months where there may have been a case where the motion to suppress was denied. Second, let's be clear about what we're doing. The issue is rather retroactive or prospective. Everybody in this body who practices this in this area knows that if it is a procedural matter, it always gets retroactive application. And on July 1, 2021, this amended section was placed under Chapter 13 of the Code of Virginia, Prohibited Practices, Procedural Matters. Secondly, the issue involves whether illegal substances or fruits of the crime were found in the automobile. It is an evidentiary matter that is taken up in our general district courts and circuit courts. All evidentiary matters are procedural. Ergo, it must be given retroactive application. And the majority, by a large margin, of the circuit courts in the Commonwealth have given it retroactive application. For those reasons, Madam President, I ask that the bill pass.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 105 pass? All those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 108, a bill relating to correctional facilities, use of isolated confinement.
The junior senator, again from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I'd ask that Senate Bill 108 pass, and speaking to that motion.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen of the body, Senate Bill 108 is very simple in nature. It abolishes solitary confinement, otherwise known by either restrictive housing or isolated confinement. This bill was submitted during the 2021 session, and it passed through this body in the same form, but it died in the House due to an appropriations amendment of $32 million on it. That was subsequently pared down to $8 million and $4.4 million after that in DOC. It's the same bill. It simply abolishes solitary confinement, but if you look at the legislation beginning on lines, I believe it's, 51, there are numerous exceptions to that, which would allow isolated confinement or solitary confinement. I'd ask that the bill pass.
Chair recognizes the senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise to speak to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you. I want to thank the junior senator from Richmond City for bringing up this important bill. In 2011, I visited solitary confinement cells in 3 of our state prisons, Coffeewood Correctional Center, Red Onion, our Supermax facility, and Marion Correctional Facility. And I want you to try and imagine it. Imagine yourself in a room the size of a very small, very, very small walk-in closet, and a narrow slit for a window, and a small opening in a steel cell door that is unlocked only to insert a tray of cold food at mealtime. No books in many cases, no communications, and according to one formerly incarcerated person with I met this morning, only roaches, snakes, and mice to accompany you. You get to take a shower every 3 days, shackled and handcuffed, and in his case, led on a dog leash to the shower. Once a day, you're supposed to have an hour of recreation in a small chain-link cage that looks similar to a dog run. If you're not mentally ill when you enter solitary confinement, you certainly could be when you leave. One case at Nottoway Correctional Facility, I spoke with an inmate who spent 9 months in solitary for passionately asking a food service worker for a banana that wasn't rotten. In other words, this food service worker who was separated by a counter felt threatened. The guards didn't separate them or anything, but he was put in solitary. So you can get that adjudicated. So after about 7.5 months, he was adjudicated not guilty of needing to be in solitary, but then he served another 90 days waiting for a bed space to open up. Our late colleague Chuck Colgan told me about a neighbor of his who had a child who was mentally ill, and when he was given his medicine, he was in line to take his medicine. He knocked the medicine out of the guard's hand and then spent years in solitary confinement because of that. Whatever you call it, administrative segregation, restrictive housing, restorative housing, solitary or the whole, the UN classifies the use of solitary confinement as a form of torture. The purpose of our correctional facilities is to rehabilitate those who have committed a crime. I spoke this morning to the wife of one man who was in solitary for 10 months as a juvenile. 30 years later, he still has separation anxiety and emotional issues from being in solitary at just 16 years of age. And this is not to say that the Department of Corrections in Virginia has not improved over the years. They have an innovative program I visited at Red Onion in 2013, a step-down program to earn your way out of solitary, where if you're selected and lucky enough to participate in that program, first you're put in a cage next to another inmate who's also in a cage taking anger management classes. Eventually you're chained to a desk or to a table in a pod where you take substance abuse classes, and then you can earn group recreation and congregate dining privileges. And that's all well and good, but not everyone is lucky enough to be in the step-down program, and the fact that we're still isolating some inmates in solitary confinement is just not acceptable. Let's keep nudging Department of Corrections in the right direction and more humanely rehabilitating our inmates, and let's pass this bill. Thank you.
Chair now recognizes the senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Madam President, members of the Senate, there's a body of evidence that if a person is held in solitary confinement...
Speaking to the bill, sir?
I'm sorry?
Speaking to the bill?
Yes, I'd like to speak to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you very much. There's a body of evidence that a person that's held in solitary confinement more than 15 days is considered torture. And I think the UN, some others, acknowledge that. And in Virginia, I've been told anyway, that it's not unusual for somebody to be held more than that, maybe 30 days or more. And so this is something that's simply humane. There are other ways to deal with people. And I think we need to put some clamps on solitary confinement. In the Marine Corps, you're entitled, a person could be given 3 days in bread and water, and then they had to be out. And that was considered appropriate at that point. But the way we're doing it in Virginia, if it's over 15 days, it can cause severe mental illness that can be permanent and long-lasting. And I think we need to put some clamps on this, Madam President. So I hope the bill passes.
Chair now recognizes the junior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Chase.
Thank you, Madam President. Speaking to the bill.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, on my staff, I have members who have actually, officers who have actually worked in the prisons and have worked solitary confinement. One of the things that they tell me is that, in fact, the inmates are not cuffed. They do get one call a day. They get outside recreation 2 hours a day outside in single fences and areas. Marion, which is a hardcore mental health facility, the ones that are there that are in still come out and they get a shower every other day. And so I'm not sure where we are getting this information that is being provided to us, but I'm being told that the only time they are on 5 point is if they are on lock for self-harm, and they are met by a mental health care person every day. All offenders see a nurse 2 times a day, and that's straight from those who work and have worked inside our Department of Corrections. Thank you.
Again, the senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Very briefly to speak again.
Senator has the floor.
I just want to clarify that I've seen with my own eyes inmates being led to the showers with both leg irons and handcuffs, which I was told by the warden at the facility that I visited was standard procedure for an inmate in solitary taking a shower. It's not a pretty picture, and there's a lot that we don't hear. The guards are doing a good job, and I'm really happy that in this year's budget that we're going to be giving them, I hope, a substantial raise, because that's going to help things a lot to have better staffing. Thank you.
The junior senator from Richmond City, Senator Morrissey.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, my colleague, the senator from Accomack, has a saying, everything needs to be said, but not everybody needs to say it. Madam President, in this particular bill, everything has been said. I'd ask that the bill pass.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 108 pass? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 21, noes 18.
Ayes 21, noes 18. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 385, a bill relating to local license taxes, limitation of authority.
The gentleman from Hanover, Senator McDougal.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that Senate Bill 385 pass. And speaking to the measure.
Senator has the floor.
Madam President, I will not be verbose this Friday afternoon. This bill simply says that if you're a director of a bank or trust company and you're already paying your franchise tax and income tax or corporate tax, then you cannot also be charged a local license tax.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 385 pass? Those in favor will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, noes 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 468, a bill relating to Virginia Retirement System, Line of Duty Act, medical reviews to be conducted by Virginia practitioners.
The senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeSteff.
Madam Chair, I move passage of the bill and speaking to that.
Senator has the floor.
Madam Chair, on this Friday afternoon, I'm going to be rather quick. However, I'm happy to have a 2 or 3 hour debate if anyone wants to. What this bill does is when somebody's appealing to VRS, it says that the doctor or practitioner must be licensed in a contiguous state of Virginia, and that's pretty much it. I can go through 15 or 20 examples. I can debate this for 2 or 3 hours if anybody would like. But with that, I'd like to move the bill passage. Thank you.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 468 pass? All those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, noes 3.
Ayes 35, noes 3. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 525, a bill relating to insurance, reimbursement for services provided by a licensed athletic trainer.
Madam President. Madam President.
The senator from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you. Having voted on the prevailing side by which Senate Bill 468 passed, I ask that the body reconsider its vote so my seatmate may vote.
The question is, shall the vote by which Senate Bill 468 passed be reconsidered? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The vote is reconsidered. Again, the senior senator from Virginia Beach, Senator DeStaff.
Madam President, having previously explained Senate Bill 468, I move its passage. Thank you very much.
Question is, shall Senate Bill 468 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 37, noes 2.
Ayes 37, noes 2. The bill passes.
Returning to Senate Bill 525.
The senator from Southern Fairfax County, Senator Barker.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill pass, and speaking to the bill.
The senator has the floor.
This is a very straightforward bill. What it does is it adds athletic trainers to the list of people who can be compensated and receive compensation for specific services provided under direction of a physician. The amendments do to this bill is it makes it clear that this is not something that they would get reimbursed separately for dealing with an athlete along the sidelines or in a game, but it would be only for services provided in a office setting. And with that, I would renew my motion that we approve the bill. So,
the question is, shall Senate Bill 525 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 38, noes 1.
Ayes 38, noes 1. The bill passes.
Senate Bill 562, a bill relating to workers' compensation, time period for filing claim, certain cancers.
Senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, the origin of this started in 1994 when the Cancer Presumption Act for Workman's Comp for firemen was first put on the books. And what this update does is right now the current law is 2 years, they have to notify their employer. They have up to 2 years after the initial diagnosis or 5 years from when the injurious event occurred that they believe gave them the cancer. What we've done is we've taken that 5 years and made it 10. That's one change. And the other is that we've capped the whole thing at age 65. You can't report anything after that. And the reason is that there are very few firemen even remotely close to that. As you know, they've got they and police have a lot shorter retirement period, so they're out long before that. So that's why they have that. So the two biggest changes are the 2 years goes to 5 years, and the whole thing is capped at age 65. With that, I would ask that the bill be approved.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 562 pass? Those in favor of passage will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 25, noes 14.
Ayes 25, noes 14. The bill passes.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on second reading.
Chair recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar, that's pages 14 through 21, Senate Bill 361 through 771, be advanced to their engrossment and third reading in a block. Any senator, after the adoption of any amendments, and then any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block, please do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill.
The question is, shall all Senate bills on second reading on the uncontested calendar on pages 14 through 21, Senate Bills 361 through 771 be engrossed and advanced to their third reading in the block after the adoption of the amendments, that any senator desiring to remove a bill from the block will do so after the clerk has read the number of the bill. Excuse me. All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The clerk will read the number.
Senate Bill 361, the committee substitute has been adopted by the Senate, and there are 2 floor substitutes.
Madam President.
The senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, first of all, I'd ask that we reconsider the vote by which the committee substitute was agreed to.
Question is, Yes? The question is, shall the committee substitute, the motion by which it was agreed to, be reconsidered? Those in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 39, no 0.
Ayes 39, no 0. The vote is reconsidered. The senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. Now, Madam President, with a recommendation that it be rejected, I would ask that the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, with the recommendation that it be rejected, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The noes have it. The committee amendment is rejected.
Now, Madam President, I would yield to the gentleman from Prince William.
Gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move to withdraw my floor substitute so we can take up the substitute number 1 in your packet. And just briefly speaking to that.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you. Just to briefly run through, I appreciate Senator Stewart's time and patience through this process over the last week. I think we've come to a really good conclusion of not causing harm that the original form might have done, and just I'll let him explain the substitute itself, but I do appreciate his time, and we'll be supporting Senator Stewart's substitute. Thank you. So again, I'd remove my floor substitute so we can take up Senator Stewart's. Thank you.
Well, we never took it. Yeah. So without objection, since we never took it up, Senator. And now this gentleman from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move we waive reading of my floor substitute to Senate Bill 361, which is labeled number 2.
The question is, shall the reading of the floor substitute from the patron be waived? Those in favor of the motion will record their vote. Will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The reading is waived. Again, the senator from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move that the substitute be agreed to, and speaking to that.
The senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. As you all heard the senator from Prince William, and I too appreciate his corroboration on this bill. The Marcus Alert system is a very important bill. It was a bill that I supported with the gentleman from Prince William until it got to an unfunded mandate, which gave some of the small localities some significant difficulty. And so the bill started out as a local option. It was changed in committee to have a population threshold of 80,000. The gentleman from Prince William and I have worked on this for the last several days and come to a consensus that I believe helps everyone and keeps the Marcus Alert system intact for those folks who need it. The population threshold now is 40,000 people, so those folks under the localities under that can opt out. It gives a 2-year delay in certain provisions. It holds intact the 911 calls to the 988 crisis center, which we both believe was very important because that shouldn't cost any money. It does still require to have that voluntary database, again, which should not cost any money or be difficult for folks. The crisis teams will still be established on a specific timeline, 2 years delayed in the same amount because there was funding for that, although it may not be required in all of these smaller jurisdictions yet. So I thank the gentleman, and I will just tell everybody this, it's been my thought process all along that if we let the larger jurisdictions, and Prince William is the one I'm most familiar with since I represent that area, if we let them develop this, I apologize, I can't hold the microphone up high enough. If we let those larger jurisdictions develop these systems, then the rest of the localities can learn from that, and we can develop a much better model, which will be easier and more cost-effective for the smaller counties to develop. So with that too much explanation, Madam President, I would ask that the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute of Senate Bill 361 be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 56, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with a substitute, and reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Gentlewoman from Arlington, Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move the substitute from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with a recommendation that it be rejected.
The question is, shall the substitute from the Senate Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services be rejected with the recommendation that it be rejected? Shall the substitute be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The noes have it. The substitute is rejected. Senator Favola.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I now move that the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 84, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 94, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
The gentlelady from Northern Fairfax County, Senator Howell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute of Senate Bill 94 be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 191, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 195, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
The senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, with the recommendation that it be rejected, I agree. I move that the substitute from the Committee on Commerce and Labor be agreed to.
With the recommendation that the substitute of the bill coming out of Commerce and Labor be rejected, the question is, shall the amendment be agreed to? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no.
No.
The substitute is rejected. Senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam President. Now I would move that the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to, please, ma'am.
Now then, question is, shall the substitute from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 221, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Senator from Rockingham.
Madam Chairman.
Senator from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
I move the substitute, the committee substitute.
Question is, shall the substitute of Senate Bill 221 be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to.
Senate Bill 289, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. Senate Bill 426, reported from the Committee on Education and Health with amendment and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The gentlelady from Henrico, Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee amendment.
Question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to.
Senate Bill 434, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Southern Fairfax County, Senator Barker.
Madam President, I move that we adopt the committee substitute.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be adopted? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 469, reported from the Committee on Commerce and Labor with amendment and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senior senator from Richmond City, Senator McClellan.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the committee amendment.
Question is, shall the committee amendment be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is agreed to.
Senate Bill 508, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute.
The gentleman from Accomack, Senator Lewis.
Madam President, I move adoption of the committee substitute.
Question is, shall the substitute for Senate Bill 508 be adopted? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is adopted.
Senate Bill 684, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources. Senate Bill 698, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections. Senate Bill 726, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources. Senate Bill 771, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with a substitute.
Gentleman from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move the committee substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. Question now is, shall the Senate bills be engrossed and advanced to their third reading? That is, all the bills except for Senate Bill. No, all of the bills are in the block, all right? All of the bills. So therefore, all in favor of the motion will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills are engrossed and advanced to their third reading.
Regular calendar, Senate bills on second reading. Senate Bill 254, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, delivery of alcoholic beverages, third-party delivery license container. The committee substitute has been adopted by the Senate.
The Senate will take a recess of 10 minutes. In a recess time. The Senate will be at ease.
Returning to page 21, Senate Bill 254. The committee substitute has been adopted by the Senate.
The senator from Loudoun, Senator Bell.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill be engrossed and passed on to its third reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 254 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 6, a bill relating to the maximum number of judges in each judicial circuit. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Somerville.
Thank you, Madam President. I move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 6 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 138, a bill relating to discovery in criminal cases, copies of discovery for the accused, reported from the Committee on the Judiciary with an amendment and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Madam President, I move that the Committee on the Judiciary's amendment be adopted.
The question is, shall the committee amendment be adopted? Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted.
Madam President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 138 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is advanced and engrossed to its third reading.
Senate Bill 153, a bill relating to Governor's Office, position of Secretary of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion created.
The gentlewoman from Hampton, Senator Locke.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The motion is agreed to. Senator Locke.
I move that Senate Bill 153 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 153 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 158, a bill relating to Virginia Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Historic Preservation Fund established. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi.
Madam President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 158 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 196, a bill relating to alcoholic beverage control, tax allocation, funding for Virginia Spirits Promotion Fund. Reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with a substitute and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Williamsburg, Senator Mason.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the substitute be agreed to.
Question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. The gentleman from Prince William.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading from Williamsburg.
Williamsburg. Yeah.
Williamsburg. Question is, shall Senate Bill 196 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 250, a bill relating to non-hazardous solid waste fees. Reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations with amendment.
The senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Somerville.
Thank you, Madam President. I would move the Committee on Finance and Appropriations amendment.
Question is, shall the committee amendments be adopted? Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The committee amendment is adopted. Again, the senator from Eastern Fairfax County.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 270, a bill relating to administration of government language access equity report, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senior senator from Chesterfield, Senator Hashmi.
Madam President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
The question is, shall Senate Bill 270 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 425, a bill relating to barrier crimes, reported from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services with amendments, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Roanoke City, Senator Edwards.
Madam President, I move that the amendments from the Committee on Rehabilitation and Social Services be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee amendments be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The amendments are agreed to. Senator Edwards.
Madam President, I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
The question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 449, a bill relating to qualified health plans, essential health benefits, state-mandated health benefits, reported from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The senator from Northwestern Fairfax County, Senator Boysko.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that we engross and advance to its third reading.
Question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 551, a bill relating to flood resiliency and protection, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources with a substitute, and from the Committee on Finance and Appropriations.
The gentleman from Western Fairfax County, Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill, that the substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the substitute be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. Substitute is agreed to. Senator Marsden.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 652, a bill relating to absentee voting application requirements, last four digits of Social Security number, reported from the Committee on Privileges and Elections with a substitute.
The gentleman from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Madam President, I move that the committee substitute be agreed to.
The question is, shall the committee substitute be agreed to? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The substitute is agreed to. The gentleman again from Alexandria.
I move that the bill be engrossed and passed to its third reading.
Question is, shall the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Senate Bill 678, a bill relating to definition of agricultural operation, reported from the Committee on Agriculture, Conservation, and Natural Resources.
Gentleman from King George, Senator Stewart.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move the bill be engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Question is, shall Senate Bill 678 be engrossed and advanced to its third reading? Those in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is engrossed and advanced to its third reading.
Uncontested calendar, Senate bills on first reading.
The gentleman from Bath, Senator Deeds.
Madam President, I move that Senate Bill 682 on page 31 of the calendar be removed from the next block of bills and be re-referred to the Committee on Finance.
Without objection, it is so moved. So done. On this particular bill, we need a vote to re-refer it to finance. And so This will be a voice vote. Those in favor of re-referring Senate Bill 682 on page 31 to the Finance Committee will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The bill is re-referred. Chair now recognizes the senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I move that all Senate bills on first reading on the uncontested and regular calendar, pages 28 through 38, as Senate Bill 23 through 764, that the rules be suspended and the first constitutional reading of the titles be dispensed with.
The question is, shall the rules be suspended and the first reading of the titles of Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars, pages 28 through 38, Senate Bill 23 through Senate Bill 764, be dispensed with? All in favor of the motion will record their votes aye. Those opposed, no. Are the senators ready to vote? Have all the senators voted? Does any senator desire to change their vote? The clerk will close the roll.
Ayes 35, no 0.
Ayes 35, no 0. The reading of the titles is dispensed with. The senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
I now move that those said bills be passed by for the day.
The question is, shall the Senate bills on the uncontested and regular calendars now on their second reading be passed by for the day? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The bills will go by for the day.
Uncontested calendar, Senate joint resolutions on second reading.
Madam President.
The senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Could all three Senate joint resolutions, 83, 84, and 85, go by for the day prior to engrossment?
Without objection. Senate bills 83, 84, and 85 go by for the day. We have the supplemental calendar.
We have a supplemental calendar. Supplemental calendar number 1, regular calendar, Senate bill on first reading, Senate Bill 375, a bill relating to optometrist laser surgery.
The senior senator from Fairfax County, Senator Saslaw.
Madam President, I inquire of the Senate clerk, does that complete the calendar for today?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The chair now recognizes the senator from Roanoke County, Senator Suderline.
Madam President,
Senator?
I briefly was about to end my streak and have someone here to introduce, but they're no longer here, so we might go another whole session. Thank you.
Is there any other? The senator from Alexandria, Senator Eben.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I rise for a very brief point of personal privilege.
The senator has the floor.
I learned from the media yesterday that Governor Youngkin visited my district. He came to the Safeway in Alexandria, and I was glad to see that he was meeting with residents concerned about the cost of living. But I just wanted to note the governor has proposed $3.5 billion in budget amendments without a way to pay for them. And I know he's new to governing, but as we all know, our Constitution requires we balance our budget in Virginia. And he's proposing to eliminate the grocery tax, including the local 1% option, which is a laudable goal, a good goal, but he has no plan for how local governments will make the millions in funding that they depend on for education and transit back. I don't want my local government to have to raise property taxes on our already strapped homeowners. So I would just invite the governor to come back to Alexandria after session for a discussion with local government leaders about how we can all work together to eliminate the grocery tax in full. Thank you.
Chair now recognizes the senator from Eastern Fairfax County, Senator Surville.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise for an announcement.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. We have a CRIM sub-meeting 15 minutes after adjournment, and we had a bill from Senator Hanger, which had a lot of people interested in it, that we talked about being heard in CRIM sub today. And I said then that I would say today whether we're going to hear that, and we're not going to hear that this afternoon. I just wanted to make sure that people watching on TV weren't waiting around for us to have that hearing. So we do have 6 or 7 bills we're going to get through very fast, so get there quick.
Is there any other business to come before the Senate? The clerk will report any announcements on the desk.
Announcements for Friday, February 4th, 2022. The Judiciary Subcommittee on Criminal Law will meet 15 minutes after adjournment in Senate Room A, Pocahontas. Senators Surville, McDougall, Normant, Stanley, Morrissey, and McClellan. Monday, February 7th, 2022. The Committee on the Judiciary will meet at 8 o'clock a.m. in Senate Room A, Pocahontas. The Committee on Local Government will meet at 9 o'clock a.m. in Senate Room 3 in the Capitol. The Democratic Caucus will meet at 11 o'clock a.m. in Senate Room 1 in the Capitol. The Republican Caucus will meet at 11:30 a.m. in Senate Room 2 in the Capitol.
The chair now calls on the President pro tempore, the senator from Portsmouth, Senator Lucas.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I move that the Senate do now adjourn until 12 noon on Monday.
The question is, shall the Senate adjourn until 12 o'clock noon on Monday? All in favor of the motion will say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is agreed to. The Senate now stands adjourned until 12 o'clock noon Monday.